Columbus made planes and made history. Find out how next on Columbus Neighborhoods.
Support for Columbus Neighborhoods is provided by
At American Electric Power, we've been proud sponsors of WOSU Public Media for many years and strong supporters of our headquarters city here in Columbus, both downtown and in neighborhoods like yours.
State Auto Insurance Companies, serving customers and communities for nearly a century. Today, a technology and transformation company. Risk takers, creators, innovators. A company defined not by its history, but by its people. State Auto. The Columbus Foundation. Smart philanthropy for a smart city. ColumbusFoundation.org. Bailey Cavalieri. Your relationship with your law firm doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be right. CODA. Keeps our community moving forward. Falgren Moortine Marketing and Communications. Think wider. Ohio Health focuses on you and your family with a mission to improve the health of our communities. And by contributions from these and other Columbus area families who support WOSU. Thank you.
A lot of people like to visit the observation tower here at OSU Airport Don Scott Field. This facility has an interesting history, like the day in 1967 when a TWA pilot thought he was on approach for Port Columbus and landed his 707 jetliner here by mistake. Port Columbus, the city's main airport, also has a fascinating history, and it all began with scoring a transatlantic ticket on a Zeppelin.
Mid-1920s, aviation was critical to economic development. And if Columbus wanted to grow as a community, one of the linchpins of that growth was aviation, and obviously you can't have aviation without an airport. My grandfather, Don Casto, was very interested in aviation. He was an ambulance driver, survived the war fortunately, and came back, and his heroes were the World War I pilots.
Lindbergh was a tremendous influence on everybody. When he flew the Atlantic, aviation just took off. Everybody was wild.
Part of the powerhouse DNA of Don Casto Sr. involves Port Columbus. He had been to all of these seaport airports. He didn't want it to be another Columbus Municipal Airport or anything like that. He wanted something dramatic, and he came up with the name of Port Columbus because he had been to all these other places.
So in 1927, he worked with his friend Edgar Wolff, who published the Columbus Dispatch, to get a bond issue passed to purchase the land for what is now Port Columbus.
Mr. Casto and Wolff were proponents for building Port Columbus to be a part of the transcontinental air transport train plane service to the West Coast. They had a bond issue in 1927 to build the airport in 28, but it failed. During that period of time, they tried to get the community ready to do another bond issue the next year.
And in 1928, they put the bond issue on the ballot again. And needed some way to publicize the bond issue, get people interested in it as what's happening. And my grandfather came up with the idea of, the Graf dirigible. The Graf dirigible is going to make its maiden voyage across the Atlantic. And wouldn't it be great if I could be on that as a passenger?
In the process, he would write back or wire back to Mr. Wolff, who then would publish his trip to Europe on this Zeppelin, which is quite a thing.
They took off from Lakehurst, New Jersey, and flew to Friedrichshafen, Germany, in the very southern part of Bavaria. But the trip took them about 10 days. The Graf Zeppelin was underpowered. and the winds blew it up way over North Greenland, and then it blew it way back down to Morocco, and then they had to motor up over North Africa, across the Mediterranean into Friedrichshafen. So it was a little bit of an adventure.
By the time they got back, they had convinced the people of Columbus that they would do the bond issue.
Well, he was cabling home dispatches, Mr. Wolfe was publishing the dispatches, and the bond issue, in his absence, passed. So that was the genesis of the funding for Port Columbus.
Port Columbus has now been renamed John Glenn Columbus International Airport in honor of the Ohioan who went from fighter pilot to spaceman to senator. And even as this airport grows, many people want to make sure its architectural history is not lost. Let's go on a drive with Jeff Darby as he shows us what to look for.
I'm at the main library in downtown Columbus. It's one of the best resources in the city for historical information. In my preservation work, I do a lot of research here, especially in primary sources. These are the sources created at the time an event happened. And one of the best sources I've found, and one of the most entertaining, is the history of Port Columbus Airport. It was developed by Ernest Stork, who was city engineer at the time, responsible for construction of the airport. He created a remarkable historical record of the construction of what is today John Glenn International Airport, but at the time was called Port Columbus, America's greatest air harbor. It has original tags worn by people at the reception. This is the invitation, and this is really entertaining for the stamp fans. This is what's called a first day cover. This envelope was mailed on the airplane that flew out of Port Columbus the day of the dedication with a special cancellation. And for stamp people, it's a really collectible kind of thing. The original airline was Transcontinental Air Transport that flew out of Port Columbus and provided this service all the way to the West Coast in connection with the Pennsylvania Railroad and the Santa Fe Railroad. This is a photo of the hangar at Port Columbus, built at the same time the terminal was. This photo shows the dedication day at Port Columbus, July 8th, 1929, when a train arrived from New York after an overnight run. People got off the train onto a Ford tri-motor airplane and flew from Port Columbus to an airport in Oklahoma, boarded another train there, took that overnight to an airport in New Mexico, boarded another plane there and flew on to Los Angeles. It was a 48-hour trip. It cut a whole day off travel coast to coast, and it was a really big thing at the time it started. And these photos are wonderful, but both those buildings still exist, so why don't we go out to the airport, have a look at them. I've always been interested in transportation history, air, rail, water. And one of the reasons is my great-grandfather on my mother's side took a trip in the summer of 1930 on the Graf Zeppelin, the German dirigible that provided transatlantic passenger service in the late 1920s and early 1930s. I have a movie he made of this trip, and it shows traveling over fields in Europe and frightening the cattle and landing at the terminal in eastern Prussia at the time. It's now part of Poland. We're going to Port Columbus, the original airport terminal for Port Columbus, but it wasn't the original airport. There was a field called Norton Field, named for a World War I flyer. It was for mostly recreational flying. It wasn't really a passenger terminal per se. There wasn't commercial service. And as aviation developed, there was a move to build a real commercial airport for Columbus. And we are arriving right now at the historic terminal of Port Columbus. We're on the tarmac here at Port Columbus at the southeast corner of the airport. We got special permission. This is an area not open to the public, but because of historical interest, we're allowed in to have a look at original hangar number 1, built at the time the terminal was built. It's a really interesting building, definitely worth a look. Hi, George.
Sure.
Good to see you.
Good to see you today.
This is George O'Donnell. He's with the Columbus Historical Society, and he's working hard on preservation of hangar number 1 and the original terminal building. George, tell us about the building we're in, hangar number 1. Tell me the story.
Very frankly, the airport has done an outstanding job maintaining this building.
Well, they really have, because you have the original concrete floor, you have the original steel structure. The steel roof is up there, even though it's been concealed by a lowered ceiling. So it's in largely original condition, really.
It is. I want to also point out the fact that this particular structure was duplicated in 2 or 3 additional airports to the west of us that were cited by Charles Lindbergh. This is the only one that remains intact in place.
Well, it's a wonderful old building, and it provided support for the activities at the historic terminal building, of course, because that's where the operations really took place. So we'll get a look at that as well. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Jeff.
How are you? Good to see
Welcome.
you. We are up on the 3rd level, not very high up for a control tower, but that's where we are. And tell me what went on out here on the pavement outside.
If you look here, Jeff, you can see the original TAT hangar, which is right across the way, and this southeast corner was the airport. This building was dedicated July 8th, 1929, and Amelia Earhart, Mr. Lindbergh, a lot of people were here. They came on a train from New York, got on the 4 tri-motors, and this was the first flight was here in Columbus. It was a very, very historic building, and that's why we want to save it, because it's the first.
Well, it's an important building, but it also is a sound building, structurally stable.
We raised a lot of money, $53,000, and which was matched by the Columbus Foundation, and that took care of taking all the mold.
And I think you found some of the original decoration in the ceiling as well, didn't you?
We did a few, and there's also a fireplace. And the Airport Authority just put a brand new roof on the building this summer.
I remember, I was here before.
Which I'm excited about, that's great.
It did not have a roof like this one.
It leaked like a sieve.
That's one of the reasons it got so wet, but it's dried out now. It's important to preserve places like the old Columbus Terminal because they tell the story of the people who made our city. So we look forward to a future that keeps these landmarks as part of a living city.
In the early years of aviation, Glenn Curtiss and the Wright brothers were bitter foes, but they eventually joined forces. And by 1941, Curtiss-Wright was a world leader in the manufacturing of airplane engines. Curtiss-Wright had plants all over the world, including here in Columbus, where the company made local and national history.
This new giant aviation plant is completing its first warplane. At Columbus, Ohio, the Curtiss-Wright factory is the nation's largest for the building of dive bombers for the Navy. The National War Program for the Defeat of Japan calls for an immense increase of production for air power. This plant was built recently at a cost of $14 million and now turns out its first Navy dive bomber, the beginning of mass production.
My mom came up from Nelsonville High. She hitchhiked into Columbus with the promise of a job at the height of the Great Depression in 1935. She went to the Jackson Golden Violin Company. And then a whole bunch of these gals she worked with at the violin company decided, well, we're all going to apply, and one of these gals had a car. So they all applied and all got hired. And Mom went from making violins and guitars and doing woodworking to when she came out with Curtiss-Wright, they hired her to install wiring harnesses and radios in SB-2C Helldivers for the Navy.
By the end of 1942, there were 13,000 employees there, and by the end of the war, in August of 1945, there were 25,000 employees at Curtiss-Wright. By the late 1944, which was at the peak of production, they were making 23 planes a day. The majority of the Helldivers were made there in Columbus, a little over 5,000.
I don't think Mom had done any kind of electrical work until they came out here. They put her in class and she sat in class. I still have her toolbox, that she bought this toolbox to keep all of her tools in and locked up because Mom worked second shift out here.
Now Curtiss-Wright, show her might, to our axis hold, as we back up our battle cry.
Even before World War II started, President Franklin Roosevelt issued an executive order, 8802, in anticipation of the war and war industry. And essentially what it did was call for the integration of employment wherever federal funds were used for wartime effort. As it turns out that Curtiss-Wright in 1941, in the early 40s, was trying already to integrate its aircraft plant. And they were doing this ahead of and not really having to do it by federal order. Out of that came an attempt to now hire both African American men and African American women in skilled and unskilled positions. Curtiss-Wright was doing something that most other people after the war were very proud they didn't do. And there were companies that claimed that they had never hired a Negro during the whole wartime and that they really didn't have to.
Teamwork makes miracles like this possible.
It created a skilled worker environment that by the end of the war, they had trained over 84,000 skilled workers. Over 140,000 skilled employees were in the city. So at the end of the war in August, the company laid off 22,000 employees. But large companies like General Motors and Westinghouse were able to move their large factory complexes into Columbus because there was that labor force.
It was a big deal. It was just a really big deal. And there were tons of people because they ran 3 shifts, you know, they ran 7 days a week. And Mom always was the go-to person for any kind of wiring when I was growing up. Dad just deferred all that to Mom because Mom was just a wizard with a soldering iron. She had always talked very, very positively about the experience. It was an opportunity to contribute to the war effort during World War II. It was one of the highlights, I think, for Mom of her 20s.
Another man with the name Curtiss was an influential and imposing figure in aviation and the Cold War. Historian Ed Lentz says Curtis LeMay, who grew up on Columbus's south side, has something in common with another famous general from Ohio.
There's something to be said for Curtis LeMay. He's one of the more controversial people of the 20th century. He's born in 1906 in Columbus and will rise to command the Strategic Air Command in the years during and after World War II. He's largely responsible for the massive strategic bombing by firebombing predominantly of Japan toward the end of World War II. It's kind of interesting in a way that LeMay, who comes up through the traditional military establishment and moves on to the strategic bombing of Europe during World War II, comes to discover that strategic bombing, even with tactical precision, doesn't always accomplish the objective of total defeat of the enemy. The idea that LeMay comes up with is very similar to what William Tecumseh Sherman of Lancaster came up with during the American Civil War, and that's the concept of total war. The idea of depriving the enemy of the ability to continue economically, politically, or socially to fight. It isn't so much fighting the enemy's army as fighting his whole society. Sherman did it by a march to the sea. LeMay did it by the strategic firebombing annihilation of entire Japanese cities.
Most people rightfully associate the Tuskegee Airmen with Alabama, where this famed group of African American aviators trained. But after their World War II service, the Tuskegee Airmen were stationed in Columbus at Lockbourne Air Force Base. My co-host, Javier Sanchez, recently visited Mott's Military Museum in Groveport to learn more about these men who distinguished themselves in the air and helped integrate the armed forces.
The Mott's Military Museum sits off Hamilton Road in Groveport. When you come, be sure to check out the C-47 transport plane. It'll be restored next year. Warren Motts created the popular museum. And today, we're visiting the exhibit on the Tuskegee Airmen.
Well, the Tuskegee Airmen are really my heroes and a lot of people's heroes. They were the first black pilots from World War II. They started at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, and that's where they trained them.
Instead of patches of corn, concrete flight strips.
The Tuskegee Airmen, the Tuskegee experiment had started with the fact that they wanted to see if black pilots could actually fly aircraft. I mean, they thought maybe they couldn't. The mindset at the time was that the blacks were not equal to the whites because they weren't smart, but they were.
It takes many weeks of learning to make a fighter pilot. And a lot of that learning is done in a hard wooden chair. Because a fighter pilot is a combination of a mathematician and an athlete, a scientist and a sharpshooter.
Every part of the Tuskegee experiment was from mechanics right up to the pilots. So the entire group was all black, all with white officers. And they wanted to see if these guys could fly.
They were pioneers, and no pioneer has it easy. They fought lies, they fought heartbreak, and they won.
Now, Harold Sawyer was from Columbus, Ohio, and Harold was a groundbreaker. He actually went to flight school before he went and got a license before he went to flight school at Tuskegee because he wanted to be a pilot. And the Tuskegee Airmen were a very distinguished group because they had red noses and red tails on their aircraft. In one particular mission, Harold said they came in, they were protecting these bombers. The Germans come in and they were shooting the Germans all to pieces and broke them up and got them away. This unit came back and landed. And the guy who was the pilot of the bomber says, I want to meet those guys with the red tails and the red noses. Those are the guys I want to go meet them. Now you got to understand, this guy was from Alabama and the South, and he had no idea. So he went down to where Harold's unit was, and they pulled this guy up in the Jeep, and he looked around, and he said, these are the guys that were escorting me and protecting me? He said, yeah. He didn't say a word. He got in the Jeep, went back. The next morning, they had a briefing. They said, we're going to go up, we're going to hit the Schweinfurt ball bearing factory. And the pilot says, I want those guys with the red tails to be the escorts for me. It was the best example of how to do desegregation because he proved that it had nothing to do with color. These guys were great.
Yesterday, I fulfilled one of my ambitions as a combat pilot. I got one airplane.
We have some amazing memorabilia here from the Tuskegee Airmen. Can you talk about some of it?
The plane's kind of interesting. That aircraft was built by Mr. Peoples, who was an original Tuskegee Airman. He built it on a bet. He was 72 years old. They told him he couldn't do it. And he won the bet. He built it and won it. So I thought that was pretty special. And then Mr. Rosemont, who actually became a doctor, he was a navigator bombardier from Columbus and on B-17s in World War II. He got out. He went to Washington University and became a doctor and had a family practice in Columbus for years. He actually ran for council and won, the first black person to be on the council. Well, Hilton Carter's flight suit, which is kind of a neat thing too, and Hilton's one of the few that's still living. He became a Tuskegee Airman in 1946. That was right at the end, just before they closed down the Tuskegee Institute. In 1946, they closed the Tuskegee Air Institute and shipped all of the black pilots to Lockbourne Air Base, which is right here in Columbus, which is now Rickenbacker Air Base. At one point, Lockbourne Air Base was an all-black base. That's all there was here. It was the very last base ever to be segregated before desegregation took place. The chapter we had here, we've lost almost all of them because you're talking the World War II guys, and there's probably 1,000 or more dying a day of the World War II generation, and almost all the Tuskegee Airmen locally have passed away.
750 pilots have been trained. 50% of them have been in combat. And backing them up, the most powerful force in the world, the strength of the American people.
Thanks for being with us. And remember, you can catch all of our episodes on columbusneighborhoods.org. Plus, see our stories on the WOSU mobile app. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you back here next week on Columbus Neighborhoods.
I'll fly away beyond the sky, beyond the sun. The time has come, I'll fly away. I'll fly away. I'll spread my wings, a dove of peace, and coo a song of sweet release. I'll fly away.
Support for Columbus Neighborhoods is provided by
At American Electric Power, we've been proud sponsors of WOSU Public Media for many years and strong supporters of our headquarters city here in Columbus, both downtown and in neighborhoods like yours.
State Auto Insurance Companies, serving customers and communities for nearly a century. Today, a technology and transformation company. Risk takers, creators, innovators. A company defined not by its history, but by its people. State Auto. The Columbus Foundation. Smart philanthropy for a smart city. ColumbusFoundation.org. Bailey Cavalieri. Your relationship with your law firm doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be right. CODA. Keeps our community moving forward. Falgren Mortine Marketing and Communications. Think wider. Ohio Health focuses on you and your family with a mission to improve the health of our communities. And by contributions from these and other Columbus area families who support WOSU. Thank you.